Is it hard to? I mean, I'm going to sound stupid. I just need to throw it out because I'm dumb. You know what I mean? It's just that is it hard to write a movie?
Hey, listen, dude, if you had Stormy Daniels on, would you say, where do you get your ideas?
Yeah. She's coming on after this, isn't she? She's later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Is it hard to write a movie? Dear David Mamet. Is it hard to write a movie?
I'm not Hotoi Shanani or whatever his name is from the
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Write it down. Write that down. Hoche Anani.
Hoche Anani. I can't hit it every time, dude. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, dude. I just throw it out there.
Yeah, well, don't throw either. Just all right. Just underhand. Ask him what you really want to ask him. Be honest.
That's not a bad question. There had to be some. I got you. There had to be some harder than the others.
Well, it is very hard.
Shia, protecting.
I'll tell you, I wrote this play a long time ago called American Buffalo, and it was a series of sketches about these thieves I was hanging out with playing poker, and they were really good, and I did it off Broadway, a bunch of sketches, and a guy called Ulu Grossbard, who was a great director, you should see his movie Straight Time. Ulu Grossbard comes to me and says, if you can figure out the plot, I'll put it on Broadway. So I went from being an out-of-work cab driver to I had to sit down and figure out how to write a plot, which is very difficult. And then he put it on Broadway. So I said, oh, I get it. I know what keeps the asses in the seats. A plot, which means making the audience wonder what happens next. That's a plot. If you can write a plot, the dialogue doesn't have to be good, which we know because we see films in translation.
Right.
Oh, right. We want to know what happens next.
Oh, wow.
So it's very hard to write a plot because it's an equation. And the mind always wants to come up with the easiest thing. Right, but the easiest thing is probably not the best thing, because if you can beat yourself to the punchline, the audience can beat you to the punchline. So in comedy, what you got to do is you got to beat the audience to the punchline. Give them enough to wonder what happens next. Right, a penguin and nun and a rhinoceros go into a whorehouse. Yeah. They want to know what happens next.
I do.
Yeah, I do really want.
I do want to know.
So what does happen?
What?
What does happen?
You know.
Oh yeah. You climb inside the
penguin fucks the nun and the rhinoceros eats them both.
I'm wrong.
Oh no, that's not it.
No, I was saying we climb inside the rhino's.
But let me tell you, a penguin, a nun, and an ostrich go into a whorehouse.
Where's the rhino?
An old brick.
He's taking tickets.
And they say the whorehouse is an old brick building on a quiet residential street, the kind of street where maybe your grandfather and grandmother were. I want to know what happened in the whorehouse. I don't want you to tell me about how it was built.
Right.
But do you ever write with other people though, or do you just Okay.
I'm trying to help you, bro. Trying to help you from the slap. You know.
Yeah, a couple of times I wrote with other people, but at some point I stopped doing it because even when I wrote with them, I say, thanks a lot, go sit down.
Tell us about your time in Chicago, can you, though? Because we talked a little bit off air about when he was talking about, prior to Steppenwolf and prior to every theater in the city.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was I got out of college and I was unemployable because I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. And the idea that someone was going to support me, meaning my parents, was unheard of. I mean, both in my generation and in my family. So I came back and I got a bunch of jobs. I worked at everything in the world because you could always get a job in Chicago. And I got involved in theater, and I saw some stuff that I found very provocative, so I started writing plays about it. Right? One was, as I said, I used to play in this poker game with a bunch of thieves, and and then I used to work in a boiler room selling land over the telephone. Boiler room used to be, you put 20 guys on a phone in a room, and they have to call up the people and say, oh, Mr. Lee, I see that were interested in land because you wrote in for our brochure about land in Arizona.
Well, it's kind of like Glengarry, or no?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I saw these things that interested me.
Wow.
And then I started reading Chekhov's plays, Anton Chekhov.
Is that the Star Trek guy, or
the other one?
Star Wars, not Star Trek. Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just threw it out.
Oh, there's a guy called Chekhov in Star Wars.
No.
Hey, wait a second. I got a question for you people. How do you remember the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars.
I can tell you, I can say a million things about it. What are you talking about?
He can tell you. He can tell you. He's obsessed with Star Trek.
They're completely different worlds.
Which is Star
David.
Trek?
Star Trek is based in Earth, on Earth, like the society that we live in.
Yeah.
But like hundreds of years from now.
Yeah.
And then we have a what's so funny? It's a crew. The Enterprise. It's a crew of explorers from Earth that explore.
Is it William Shatner?
Yes.
It's William Shatner.
It's Shatner. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Did you like him?
Well.
Yeah, because I'm mad at him because he fucked me once. Not literally, but in a job.
How?
Oh my God, it was the worst. I get a call from the Billboard Awards. Remember they used to have these stupid award shows, these annoying award shows.
I don't remember that.
Okay, we want you to do a sketch with William Shatner because they knew I was a Star Trek fan, and I go, yeah, I'll do it. So they fly me in. It's basically a scene with me and William Shatner at a poker table, right? So I'm sitting there waiting for William Shatner, right? And he comes in, and there was another guy that they hired too from L.A. I forgot it was a black guy. I love black people. But anyway, William Shatner goes in and he goes, you're out. And then they dragged me out of the tent, and he goes, he just rewrote it just now. So I got back on the plane and flew back to L.A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
William Shatner, no blacks, no Asians. That's his way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Now we know who he really
no
is.
Uhura and no fucking.
No, but wait a
Sulu.
second. I got a question about William Shatner, okay?
Yeah.
Right? It just occurred to me.
Yeah.
He's reading his newspaper out in the back by his swimming pool, right? And his wife, who's an Olympic, like an AAU swimmer, is swimming around the pool. And she comes over, and apparently, according to him, he put his foot accidentally on her head. And she drowned. She died.
Yeah.
So my question is, what was he reading?
Yeah.
I'm sober. I'm a good guy. You know.
But speaking of wait. Speaking of Louis C.K., dude. Speaking of Louis C.K., we talked about Louis. That when we were doing this JFK movie, I know him from around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was considering playing Jack Ruby against his
Oswald?
Lee Harvey.
Wow.
How awesome would that?
You
have
guys
been?
know him too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Also, you know.
I get so nervous around him, dude.
Also one of the greatest
Me too.
comedic
Yeah,
writers
yeah.
that we've ever seen.
That's what I'm saying. It's to be the same thing that I initially like. It's the same kind of thing.
Sure.
Well, so wait a second. So I called up Louis. So we're starting this new thing, right? We're going right to the people, and called up Louis because I knew he was doing it. I said, "What's the secret?" He said, "There's no secret. Call up my guy." I call up the guy. The guy says, "Yeah, there's no secret. You go online, henryjohnsonmovie.com.
Yep.
You put up an Instagram, wherever the fuck that thing is,
Right.
and you go out and you talk to people like you, and people buy your product. That's the secret."
Yeah,
the
that's it.
secret.
Is that?